G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because we are on the road to the single most important test match of the year, the #1 ranked team in the world forever, and that is the Wallabies versus the Springboks. And yes, Dr. Ardie Savea has announced his invasion fleet with a bunch of very tough South Africans coming to my backyard, the greatest land in the history of the world, and that is Queensland, and they think they're going to head into Lang Park and walk out with a win right past the Wally Lewis statue. Not a chance. Not a chance. You're going to have to do a lot better than what you did against the Irish to walk out of this one and win. I assure you that. So, let's have a look at who's been selected with the privilege and honor to represent the world champions, the Springboks, to head into the most hostile territory in the world of rugby in a 2 weeks time, just 2 weeks time away. So yeah, bad news for Ardie Savea. Some injuries to Faf de Klerk ruled him out of the selections. There was a injury return from Frans Malherbe. Sorry, not Frans Malherbe. Steven Kitshoff, he was scheduled to be able to play, but he was not selected. And Pieter-Steph du Toit has been cleared to return to play. And also Malcolm Marx, despite the fractured leg, he's also in the squad. Whether he's going to play or not, we're not sure, but he's also in the squad, ready to put on some action. So as a result of the injuries to Franco Mostert, Ruan Nortish has been called into the squad. And yeah, there was also the ban to Andre Esterhuizen, who's, head-on-head collision. He was issued a 4-week ban with the potential to reduce that down to 3 weeks to do a tackling school, but he has not been selected in the squad at all for this traveling schedule. Jasper Wiese still serving his suspensions, and he's also missed out on the selection. So let's have a look at who's been selected, who's out, who's going to be in the cauldron that is Lang Park for this upcoming series. So yes, Ben Jackson-Dixon coming in for so first of all, this is going to be 2 test series. One is going to be in Brisbane. The second one, likely for you guys, is going to be at home, right? In the Western Cape Town of Perfingtang, right? So lucky you can probably win the second test, but in the first test, there's absolutely no chance, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, the first test, the one that wins the first test is all that matters. The first test is everything is hinging on, and once you lose the first test, the second test should just be a warm-up match for the upcoming test against the All Blacks, right? So that's what I'm thinking about this, because it's pretty unfair for the second test to be played in the South African capital of Perfingtang. So that's beside the point. Beside the point. Anyway, let's have a look at the squad. Ben Jackson-Dixon coming in first, coming in the forwards. Pieter-Steph du Toit, as we said, already returned. Thomas du Toit, the prop. Ibn Etzberth, Johan Huebler has been added into the squad. Vincent Koch, Sia Khaleesi, outright low. Frans Malherbe, Malcolm Marx, Bungi Mbunambi, Saman Morat, Ox Nche, Ruan Nortish, Huaga Smith, Ahia Sneymond, Gerga Steenekamp, Marco van Staden, Jan Hendricks, Wessel are the forwards. In the backs, Lukamio Arm, Curdy Adensa, Damien Dialenda, Apalela Fasi, Sasha Fangberg Ngomezulu, Cheslin Kobe, Jesse Krill, Willie LaRue, Makazolo Mapimpi, Mani Labok, Andre Pollard, Kobus Reinach steps in for Faf de Klerk, Morne Vanderburg, and Grant Williams are the backs for the Springboks. It would be interesting to see if Grant Williams will be selected ahead of Kobus Reinach, who has been very, they pretty much have the same style in terms of speed, but I think Reinach might have that bit of experience edge, I guess, ahead of Williams, but we'll have to see whether Ardie wants to back the future or wants to back someone who's comfortable with experience against the Wallabies. This will be a pretty big selection here as to who will replace Faf in that lineup. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this is going to turn out for the Springboks. So following last weekend's rugby July test results, none of the rankings has been changed because it was pretty much like tier 1 nations versus tier 2 nations. But as you can notice, this #1 ranked team in the world right here is still the Wallabies. So that's probably all it matters. You'll be the #1 team versus the reigning defending rugby world champions in 2 weeks time. And that is something truly amazing to behold, and we shall see. So there were some results on the weekend. Just go through everything. South Africa beat the Portugal 64 points to 21. This was marred with a bunch of yellow cards and red cards, including red to Esterhuizen. Brazil 25 points to 26 lost to Hong Kong. Uruguay lost to Argentina 5 to 79. A pretty big win for Argentina. Chile lost to Scotland. So Scotland has one more week coming up this weekend against Uruguay. Paraguay lost to Belgium 20 points to 45. Japan, Sir Eddie, lost 14 points to 42 at home. Oh my goodness. Just an embarrassment. Absolute embarrassment in that regards. So obviously the sevens game has, the sevens Olympics has already started on the weekend. I don't watch the Olympics, but hey, it's interesting to some of the results. So there were 3 pools for the sevens. I haven't watched any of these games, so don't get angry at me because I just don't care. But one interesting thing out of the results is the fact that Anton Dupont, his team draw against the United States. So I don't think they're going to get eliminated from the pool stage, but you're at home having a draw. I'm pretty sure USA is probably quite decent in the overall rankings. They've won some sevens tournaments in the past. So yeah, a draw against USA, not a great start. Fiji on the top of the pool. Pool B, Argentina ahead of Australia, both with 2 wins, but Argentina's better point difference. And then New Zealand, Ireland firmly atop of Pool A with the Blitzboks 0 out of 2 in their opening rounds in the Rugby Sevens tournament. So that is an interesting start. Like I said, Dupont, despite being at home, draw with the United States, 12 points to 12. Good luck with the gold medal, mate. Good luck with the gold medal. So yeah, the other, obviously on the other side of the coin, between the 2 greatest teams in the world going head to head, is the red card to Filippo Daugunu. Daugunu will be cleared to play against the Springboks. So he was, issued a red card for a reckless charge down, which resulted in his knee hitting the Georgian player in the face. So pretty brutal, but he is going to be out suspended for 3 weeks. And if he does the tackling school, he will be able to suspend down to 2. So he will be missing out 2 rounds of club rugby, which clears him for the rugby championship opening match. And so obviously the Wallabies didn't put up the most convincing performance against the Georgians. There was a big question mark with who should be number 10. Donaldson, I thought his performance was really, really bad, especially in that middle period. And yeah, this is an issue that Joe Schmidt has been raised. I think the biggest problem with all the Wallabies fly halves is their defensive efforts. So I think that Joe Schmidt might have to, if he wants to start Nola Losio, he has to think about maybe move the defense around a bit, have someone else cover the 10 channel, and having Noah probably drop back, or maybe move out to the wing, like what the All Blacks used to do with Richie Moana for a little while, where Moana was moved to the wing in defense. So something like that, I think the Wallabies may have to consider. But yeah, Donaldson, I was very disappointing. I thought he might potentially be the starting player against the Springboks based on his performances in the Super Rugby for the Western Force. And yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to have anywhere near that starting jersey. There were some discussions of bringing in more experience in the Wallabies 10 jersey. James O'Connor, Rabbit, he did a pretty good job for the Reds against Wales. He had a try, scrapped an incorrect decision from the TMO. Would have probably won the game for the Wallabies, not for the Reds, against the Welsh. But still, his performance out there was pretty calm and controlled. Got like pretty much I think got 100% of goal kicking, and just pretty much, steady hands, lots of experience. Everybody around him stayed calm under pressure. And that's kind of like something I think Joe Schmidt might consider, especially with Curly Beale. That was originally, the guy that's the experience and the playmaker on the back line has been injured. So that could be a thing that they consider swapping out, putting O'Connor as a veteran assist on the bench. Not on the bench, but in the squad. He might not even get to play, but just have someone that with that experience in the squad to, assist a lot of these issues, performance consistency issues from the younger fly halves. We're talking about Esterhuizen getting suspended. Sir Eddie. After getting flogged by Italy, one of the biggest margins, I think, against Italy, he basically came out and said, building towards the future, mate. Building towards the future. Building towards the future. or got a lot of old players, got to get rid of them and got bring into the future. Literally what he said, right? We had an old team. Knew how to change them. And, looking good for the future, says Sir Eddie, right? And he's basically won one game in the entire July Test series at home against Maori All Blacks. And, yeah, it's Eddie Jones for you guys. It is Eddie Jones. So, this is something that was really interesting. The All Blacks are going to play another game with Ireland next year, potentially in the United States again. And there are some talks about this being in Chicago again in November. This is basically something that, a lot of you guys in the comment section after the game between Fiji was very disappointed that that game was played in the United States, because the fact that no one locally, a lot of Fijians fans, here in Australia, in New Zealand, and obviously in Fiji, wanted to see this locally played in New Zealand so they can travel there. And with, we knew that the Fijian players have visa issues, and you can't imagine how difficult it is for the fans to travel there to just watch this game. And everybody was disappointed that this game was actually played in America. And it is just really kind of one of those things that I think that the All Blacks need to really rethink about where their core audiences actually are. And, as good as this might sound, expanding on the market in the United States, I just don't know if this is a long-term strategy that's going to be beneficial to the union growth of the game here in this part of the world. And, this, again, Ireland versus the All Blacks. This game played in Ireland will be huge. Played in New Zealand, obviously it's November. It definitely would have been played in Ireland. And just be moved to the United States just because for money or whatever. It's, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest. And it's one of those things that, interestingly, has been tried before. The All Blacks has tried to put the Bloodless Little Cup in Hong Kong and in Japan. I don't even remember the game in Japan. I don't know if anybody. Let me know. Do you know that there was games or the Bloodless Little Cup played in Japan? I actually can't recall any of the action from those games. I know it happened, but I can't recall any of actually what happened in those games. I remember some of I remember what happened in Hong Kong. I don't, it's just like one of those things. You're so far detached from your core audience. People just don't even remember these sort of games, right? And it's just, and that catastrophically failed, to be honest, with the Bloodless Little Cup. So I don't know why they're doing this again in the United States. And obviously their investor, Silver Lake, wanted their money back. So it's definitely the direction that's been pushing from their investors. And instead of, at some point, I think the All Blacks really have to start looking at how they are dealing with their, the scheduling for the broader growth of their fan base. So Duhan van der Merwe is having a chance this weekend, being selected in the Scotland squad to play against Uruguay. He's already leveled the try-scoring record currently held by Stuart Hogg at 27. So he's potentially going to be breaking that record this weekend, and that'll be a very good little achievement for him. Back in the All Blacks, another big signing this week was the Ardie Savea being signed into Moana Pasifika. There was a report a few, probably like a month ago, 2 months ago actually, 6 years ago, that there was some talks that whether or not Ardie wants to play for Samoa at some point to the nation switch. And Ardie actually denied that he wanted to switch to play for Samoa, saying that he would do a disservice to the jersey playing for Samoa late in his career. Yeah, that's an interesting statement because, he's only 30 years of age. And if you switch in 4 years' time at 34, not really that late in his career, still probably got a couple good years left in him at that point, especially if he takes care of himself. So yeah, he's kind of made it, made it like quite clear that he didn't want to go to Samoa, play for Samoa. But, he's a very proud Samoan, and, I wouldn't be surprised this move to Moana Pasifika is his way to giving back to the community. He might not see that his, involvement in the national team as something that's possible for him because of the demands of the All Blacks, and because of, like I said, he thinks that he's don't want to go there right at the end of his career and not giving it 100%. So this is kind of like the way that he gives back to his community, and I think that shows that, deserves a lot of respect for Ardie Savea. And this has met some criticism by the New Zealanders wanting him to play in Super Rugby, thinking that it's not going to be as much developmental opportunities for him. But, it is what he wants to do. And it's his decision, and he's a very, very, loyal Samoan to his traditions. And there was some talks, obviously, on the weekend, the big win for the All Blacks, the combination with Beauden Barrett at 15 and Damian McKenzie at 10. This is something that I was suspecting. Even though Beauden Barrett clearly looked better at 10, they really need to transition a younger player into the 10 jersey, and Damian McKenzie just really hasn't been able to get a full handle onto that role. And having Beauden Barrett at 15 just really like guiding D-Mac throughout the game just looks so much better, so much smoother. And this is something that I would not be surprised to be utilized in the foreseeable future in all the upcoming test matches, especially the ones against the Springboks and the Wallabies. This will be the setup for the All Blacks. Scott Robertson also hinted that there could be a big return for the All Blacks. Will Jordan, he's been injured for the whole year now. He's been injured pretty much for Super Rugby for a couple of years, 2 seasons now, completely missing out. The last year, still had like a concussion that's ruled him out for a very long time. So he's completely out this year in Super Rugby as well. So this will be a good return for him. Not sure what sort of condition he is in, like physical conditions, but we'll see how he, travels and whether or not he's going to get called into the squad for the upcoming Rugby Championship. So Dan Colesy has been called into a coaching gig at the Wellington Lions. So this means he'll be no time to be head coaching the Hurricanes in the foreseeable future. We know it's coming. Colesy is going to be head coaching the Hurricanes, back into the Hurricanes fold anytime before you know it. So the big, result of the weekend for the Fijians was as well the loss to the All Blacks. The coach, had his thoughts on what happened. I think that the biggest problem with the issue with the Fijians was they tried to play a style that is very popular in the current international settings, which is the rush defense, and the Fijians they weren't able to execute it correctly at all. The defense wasn't sweeping up fast enough in the outside channels to shut down the long ball options and basically allowing gaps opening in the back line. There was 50 missed tackles, 55 missed tackles for the Fijians in that game. And it's just not because nobody knows how to tackle. The Fijian endurers have pretty good tackle completion rate. It's not because of the defensive structure, the way that, Mick Byrne wanted to execute those rush defense, just not something the player has been working with for the whole year. Suddenly you wanted the players to do that in short notice against the All Blacks. It's just not working out at all. Just did not work out at all for the team. And yeah, there was a bit of a controversy out of the Wales team. One of their players, the Corey Hill, was playing on the weekend against the Reds, and he was named the captain. And he had been previously, a few years ago, being accused of assault, attacking a woman in her home. So this was, slammed by a lot of the Welsh fans at home for a pretty disgusting decision to make him the captain. And finally, Ben Youngs basically had a heart attack during a training session and went under surgery, and he is okay. But this is really, really, should not be happening to anybody in their mid-30s, especially if you're a healthy, fit athlete getting a bit of a heart attack in the middle of a training session. So, something is really, really wrong here for Mr. Youngs. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your predictions. And we're going to have a preview going into the biggest match of the year. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And I'll talk to you in the comment section. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys potentially next week. Cheers.